Hello everybody. Welcome to the ONINO 2025 May community update. We're really happy to have you here. As always, we're going to wait a couple minutes, give everyone the opportunity to join, and then we're going to start with the community update.
Also, warm welcome from my side to anyone. Great to have you here. The team is now back from a successful event in Dubai, which we're also going to tell you a bit more later about. And yeah, I'm excited to share the latest news with you guys.
Welcome everyone else from my side. Hope you have it comfortable wherever you're listening from, and also hello to everyone who will listen to this as a recording. Looking forward to this month's community update.
Once again, welcome to every joiner. We're going to wait a couple more minutes or seconds to give everyone the opportunity to join, and then we're going to start right into the community update. So let's start. Thank you very much everyone for joining. We are having the May 2025 community update, and without further ado, let's jump right into the update. Today we're going to talk about the events for ONINO in the past and the future. We are talking about the tokenization platform update, then the strategic tokenization roadmap, mainnet validator update, the mainnet stats, a team update, and then there's question time as always. First, let's jump into the events. And after a successful mainnet launch in the beginning of April, we had the Token 2049, which is the event we attended in Singapore last year and in Dubai this year. It was at the end of April, beginning of May, and it was an amazing event. Last year it was underwater, was flooded. This year it wasn't, so pretty good for us. And additionally to the event, we had 3 partners and existing and new partners that we met with. So Dubai is really an interesting market. And in addition to Germany, Europe, the US, Dubai is also something, or the UAE in general, that is growing extremely. I think that's nothing new to anyone. And it was very interesting for us to start with the first steps there, getting the connections, talking to partners that are already existing and that we may be partnering up with in the future. So this has been extremely interesting, additionally to the event. The event is a typical blockchain conference, many people, many discussions, many meetings, spontaneous and planned. So this is extremely interesting. But the typical program for us, I would say, this is why it's not really worth mentioning too much more. We had a roundtable with Circle, our partner, which was extremely interesting. Lucas attended this one, and we're going to talk about a little more in the upcoming newsletter. And in addition to that, I brought some pictures, so you don't have to stare at a white canvas. This is the Token 2049. It's not a beautiful picture, but I didn't take too many because there wasn't too many discussions with people. The entrance in typical Dubai style was really hot as well, although you don't see that in the picture. Then the Burj Khalifa with Kai's beautiful back and the ONINO shirt. So we rocked the ONINO logo, not just at the event, but in whole Dubai. It was pretty nice because those shirts are pretty recognizable. So with Kai and Lucas being really tall and me just being normally tall. And it's pretty funny because you walk around the conference and you see ONINO everywhere, although it's just 3 people at the moment. Then proof picture. Sweaty Kai, Lucas, and I. It's really, really hot there. I don't know if you have been there already, but it's a really nice event. And there we were in front of the Burj Khalifa because we had an event there as well from a pretty big company that we were invited to. And yeah, then the last picture is from the balcony of Alexander Reif, our advisor, that is from the KIT, the Karlsruhe Institute of Technology, where we studied industrial engineering and management, Kai, Lucas, and I, and we met him through the university program. And he's been an advisor to ONINO for 1.5 or 2 years now. We met him very often here in Germany because he also has family in Germany and is traveling a lot. But now was the opportunity to meet him, where he lives and where he resides. And this was an amazing opportunity. In the background, you see the big, beautiful Dubai palm tree. So pretty nice apartment for a little meeting. So that was the Token 2049, really interesting and successful event. And regarding upcoming events, we decided to include the X Spaces in here as well. So on Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, Lucas is going to attend some X Spaces, which had been really interesting in the past. So feel free to tune in if you want to have more infos, if you want to follow what Lucas says in this case. There may be some spaces, sometimes with me, sometimes with Kai, but at the moment Lucas is having great fun and success with those spaces. Regarding conferences, the next one will be in June, which will be the EFCC in Cannes. This is the next big one. There may be some small events before that, or there are some small events before that. We'll keep you posted on those. But the next big conference is in June, the EFCC in Cannes. And with that, let's jump into the tokenization platform update. And I'm going to hand over to Lucas.
Yes, thank you, Alex. And there are a lot of things going around in the background regards to the tokenization platform. But today we want to focus on mainly 2 things. First of all, the compliance part, and then kind of giving a broader insight in terms of the feature set, because what we noticed is that many people kind of don't have the exact picture how far the tokenization platform already is and what kind of feature set already is implemented in what we believe is one of the greatest products in terms of tokenization out there. So let's start right in to the topic compliance. We are really proud to kind of, it's not a full announcement, but to tell you that the tokenization platform, as you can see on the next slide, is currently undergoing what we call a compliance review. So our platform is fully built. If we can head to the next slide. As you know, we always build with compliance first in mind. And this has always been a main focus in how we build ONINO and also how we build our products. So for compliance, we first have to look at the 2 things, because there are always 2 things in the whole process of when you want to create an asset or want to issue a tokenized asset. It's always a part of the issuance and a part of the distribution. And the issuance is something we've taken care of in a standardized way, which is built into our platform. So anyone that uses our platform as an admin and wants to issue something, they don't have to kind of be burdened with the whole overhead and the whole headaches they get out of it. But the other part, this is what we're going to review on right now, is the distribution of these assets. Because if you know, or if you don't know, assets such as tokenized real world assets, actually most of the times are classified as securities. And securities, much as we have them in the traditional markets, they are one of the highest regulated assets that are out there. And for that, we've completely built our platform in a way that it adheres to regulatory standards, as we know them, for example, from actual stocks. There are standards for securities themselves. And we are looking for our platform to achieve the licensing as a regulated, you could call it financial broker. Not a financial broker in terms of a stock brokerage, but a broker in terms of being able to actually distribute assets. So being able to list these assets online and also market these assets and sell these assets to investors online through our platform. So this is what the license will allow us to do. And this allows us to distribute these in predefined jurisdictions. And without that license that we're currently acquiring, we wouldn't be able to launch our own platform. And so on this slide, you can see the difference. It's always important to segregate into issuance and distribution. And we are one of the few platforms out there that already can handle both of these sides. The most platforms out there are stuck with just the issuance, and the distribution is never part of the equation, which is why we want to also take on the distribution and thus acquire the license for it. Enough talk about compliance. If you want to hear more about compliance, as Alex mentioned, feel free to join the few X spaces in this week and the coming weeks. The compliance is always a part we talk about. But what is the thing we're talking about that is compliant? It is our tokenization platform. And here we want to go in the next 3 slides deeper into what the feature set actually is, so you can understand what we've been working on the last few months and years, and why the tokenization platform is so great. Essentially, we call it as one platform that holds all essential functions to issue and distribute tokenized assets globally. We'd like to kind of segregate our platform into 2 fronts. One is the admin and issuer front, where the admin can handle their tokenized products, tokenized assets, and handle the distribution. And one is the investor platform. By standard, all payment rails that you can think of are integrated within our platform. So it does not necessarily only have to be on-chain payments. It can always be off-chain fiat payments. All necessary documentation, which includes tax documentation and legal documentation, is always included. The investor onboarding, the people who have experience, they know that can be highly complex, because every investor, if you onboard them, you have a plethora of background checks you have to go through. This is all standardized in our platform and all handled by the technology in the background. We have a simplified custody solution, so our platform can serve anyone from hardcore Web3 native that always just wants to operate their own cold wallet, to your grandma next door that does not even want to know how a crypto wallet works but wants to use the tokenized assets. She can directly be onboarded through our implemented custody providers that basically are licensed to custody assets globally. Then we have a register implementation that handles the issuance of tokenized securities and handles the processes that happen on-chain with these assets. And then our own in-house built tokenization technology that handles basically the whole life cycle process, from when an asset issuer wants to create an asset, to bringing it on-chain, and to managing the life cycle of the asset on-chain. That's just a broad overview of the features, and we just want to go deeper into what this means for admins and investors on the next slide. So on the next slide, you can see kind of a quick overview of the admin features we provide. If we would put all the features on one slide, the slide would be unreadable. So we just try to keep it to the most important ones. And for us, the biggest thing we always want to bake into our products is simplicity. So you can see on the screenshot and on the right, we have a completely no-code security token issuance setup, which makes not only the coding part as simple as possible, but also the legal documentation and the regulatory compliance that basically is always part of issuing a tokenized asset. And then there's also a complete suite for investor management. This goes way beyond just seeing who is part of your platform, who is part of your assets, and so many more features. Then we have the investor dashboard itself. And you can see a beautiful screenshot which shows the investment overview. Basically, just each investment is represented by what we call a single card, where you have all the necessary information, such as the total volume, the minimum investment, and your expected returns and yield over time. Simple, viewable at first glance, and helping you to basically make your investment decisions on really valuable information. More information for an investor dashboard is, for example, you have detailed product overviews, which we have no screenshot for, but that's also part of the investor dashboard. You have legal and tax documentation for your investments directly exportable out of the platforms. We have a portfolio page that lets you manage all your investments into tokenized assets or tokenized real world assets. There's a professional referral system that is built to onboard not only each and every one of you to make yourself able to share these things, but also in the future onboard professional financial advisors and give them access to direct commissions within the system. And also there is the access to a secondary marketplace, which right now is basically a simple bid mechanism where you can accept direct offers. Full exchange integrations is something that we plan to achieve with partners. Speaking of planning, we also want to go into the strategic tokenization roadmap. Something we want to share with you in terms of why we kind of have a structured plan in accessing the tokenization market. You've heard the phrase already, everything will be tokenized one day. And we do want to be part of this everything, but we can't do everything at once at the start. So according to our structure, we're trying to break it down on the next slide as simple as possible. We started with aligning our product, and which is the tokenization platform, the tokenized white label marketplace, with the market interest. So initially, we started standardizing the issuance in Germany, which is already a huge step forward, being able to issue securities on-chain in a standardized way, especially in such a highly regulated place as Germany. This gave us a lot of learnings, gave us a lot of opportunities to see where the actual market interest lies. So that brought us to the next step, which is pending license, the release of our own platform, where we will start with 3 main asset categories we'll be going into later. After that, we're looking to onboard additional jurisdictions and worldwide jurisdictions that make sense for us to implement and standardize on-chain securities and real-world assets on-chain. With all these jurisdictions then onboarded in the future and being able to standardize these, if you kind of think about it, anything that's not standardized, it's really hard to implement it somewhere else. But if you have it standardized, it starts to make sense to implement it with other supporting infrastructure. And this is kind of one of the final steps we're looking to go in the ONINO tokenization journey, is implementing with supporting infrastructure, like you can say lending protocols or exchanges. Just think about it. If you invest in a tokenized real estate, you then have the tokenized real estate token in your wallet. And imagine you can then put it into a lending pool and basically use that as a collateral to access more liquidity to do more with your funds at the end of the day. So this is kind of the ultimate end goal for tokenization, and ultimate goal leading us to ONINO becoming the leader for tokenized securities and tokenized on-chain real-world assets. This is kind of a high-level roadmap, and I hope we can give you a bit of a better understanding as where we start and why it is important for us to standardize these things. And speaking of standardization, we wanted to give you an insight on the 3 main and 3 standard products we offer to our clients. And when we talk about products, it's important to see that we're talking about financial products, not a product like a whole platform, but individual assets that can be then used to do much more. And our 3 standard products we support are, on the one hand, bullet loans. These are, you can say, this is credit that is put on-chain in form of a loan structure where you have a one-time interest payment at the end of the day. Then there's equity, where you can actually convert ownership and an equity stake into a token and put it on chain. And then there are convertible notes, which are, you could say, kind of a combination between equity and a loan structure, where you basically kind of issue a loan, give someone liquidity with the opportunity to convert this into equity in the future. And these are our three main key standard products we have right now. With them, people can start tokenizing real estate, can start tokenizing IP rights, can issue on-chain bonds, and so many more things. And we will add many more standard products in the future. But with these, we already have such a great asset class that we could put on-chain and access such a humongous market, which for us is already something we see a lot of demand, and we will only improve on in the future. Speaking of future, it is kind of a well-known secret that compliance is the main barrier for tokenized assets. And I touched upon it already before, and when we went on over the high-level roadmap for tokenization efforts, that we always focus on compliance, and compliance is always dependent on the assets, showing why we focus and start with three first. But after we've successfully now standardized Germany, we are actively looking to implement three more key jurisdictions, being Switzerland, the US, and the UAE, kind of making sense as we've been there only last week to also look into that. And by standard, this is supported for all people using the ONINO platform, but also for everyone that will use the platform as a white label client. And once these jurisdictions are standardized, we can start going on into many, many more in the future. So I hope this gives you a good overview. If you have any questions, leave them in the chat later on, and we can go much deeper into our strategic tokenization roadmap from here on. And I believe the next is Kai.
Yeah, thank you very much for the exciting update on the tokenization side of things, Lucas. And I'm going to take over from here. So as most of you probably know, we are not really, quote unquote, offering a full-fledged tokenization suite, but we are also building and offering the perfect custom-tailored infrastructure for this, our own blockchain, the ONINO mainnet. And as always, we're also going to give you a quick little update on the current state of the ONINO mainnet and the progress of our roadmap. And we are going to start with the first recap, and then also an update on our mainnet validator roadmap, which we're going to see on the next slide. So as you all know, we have set up a clear roadmap for the expansion of our validator ecosystem of the mainnet, which we have announced back in March, shortly before the launch of our mainnet. So first of all, the validator set will be initial internal ONINO nodes from the start. Then the validator set will be expanded by our ONINO well-known, trusted partners. Then we are going to open up the validation as well to our community members, where we have also received almost 40 applications now. So very great. Thanks for all the applications. And then after this has been settled, we are going to move on to a public validator set. We are going to basically then open up the gates so everybody can join. And I would just want to give you a quick update on the validator expansion roadmap, how I like to internally call it. So currently we're in the final stages of the careful preparation. That of course takes some time to onboard our internal ONINO partners to join as validators. This is almost done so far, and you can expect in the next time to see some new validator faces in the ONINO web wallet that you can delegate your tokens to. Then in addition to that, also when it comes to our validator ecosystem, also in that regard, the Token 2049 was a very successful event. So I have talked with a lot of people and met a super strong interest from both individuals, but also like professional, trusted validator companies who want to join and want to become validators for the ONINO mainnet. So we're currently still in talks with these people and have a super nice expanded base and set of potential validators now that we are going to onboard soon. And then, as I mentioned, in line with our roadmap, the validation will be opened up to our registered community members in approximately the end of Q2, once after our internal partners have been fully onboarded. And yeah, I'm also happy to give you a little sneak peek on an exciting partnership I'm currently working on. So this partnership will basically, well, I can't tell too much, but this will basically make it super easy for all of our community members, totally regardless of you're super tech savvy or if you're just a beginner and haven't programmed yet, to join as a validator. And with that, we basically want to democratize the access to our network and make it really super simple for everybody to join without all of the technical overhead and cumbersomeness that is usually attached to running and launching an own mainnet node for a blockchain. So yeah, you can definitely stay tuned for that. And when everything is finished and basically all of the last negotiations have been completed, we'll be more than happy to inform you about this exciting partnership. And yeah, you can definitely look forward to that. And with that, we can also move on to the next point, which is a quick update on the mainnet statistics. So yeah, as you all know, our mainnet has been now up and running for a bit over than a month. And so far, we're super happy with how it's going. It's running everything completely smooth. And yeah, now with that, after 1 month of mainnet, so to say, we just want to give you some quick insights on how the mainnet is doing, how it's performing so far, which you can find on the next slide. Just a quick note before we start into the actual statistics. I just want to give you a quick information on the average block time. So the average block time, always a quite important metric for blockchain networks, basically tells you how long does the network take to produce the next block. And your average block time on your mainnet explorer basically only shows the recent block time, right? So that just calculates the block time for around like the last hour transactions. And this block time is basically flexible and variable, right? So if there's a low transaction volume, the block time is a bit higher. And when there is basically just because there are not enough transactions, quote unquote, to produce the block. And when there is a higher block time, when there are many transactions, then the network becomes more active, so to say. Simply speaking, the DAG then picks up speed, so to say, and the block time reduces significantly. Currently, the lowest block time that we have observed in the running mainnet so far was at around 0.8 seconds per blocks, which is quite an amazing time, I think. Just wanted to give you a quick, more in-depth update on that metric, since it can lead to confusion sometimes. And with that, let's jump to the next slide and go into some more statistics. I don't know about you, but I'm always a huge fan of statistics. Just love to see that. So I also want to share some of them with you. So far, up to date, around 1.8 million transactions have been successfully processed on the network. And we have almost 1 million blocks produced already. And that is my personal key favorite metric, is that we have approximately 0.00053 only on the average transaction fee, which is, in my personal opinion, a super good value and can definitely beat most of the other blockchains out there. We're super happy with that. With the stats we have, the mainnet is producing so far. And I'm more than convinced that this is the, as we always say, perfectly tailored, cost-efficient infrastructure for tokenization. Then I also want to give you an update on the users. So far we have 216 active users on our ONINO web wallet, which is also quite a nice number, I think. And cumulated, these users have produced a migration volume of over 3 million ONI that have been burned so far on Binance Smart Chain and Ethereum and have been migrated to the ONINO mainnet. And we have also now currently a full staking volume only from external delegated staking, not from the initial validators, but this is only like from the users, of 2.2 million ONI that are natively staked on mainnet. So if you just compare these numbers, this corresponds to around 75% almost of all the volume of ONI that has been migrated is currently staked. This is also a number that we are personally super happy with. And this is also, like, in my opinion, a super strong sign that people after the migration still believe in the benefits of the new mainnet, are actively using the staking, are actively delegating their tokens and participating in the mainnet. With that, we are very content, and we are positive that this trend will also continue to rise in the near future. And if you have any other questions, if you want to see some more stats, just let us know what you would like to see the most, and then we're more than happy to provide these stats in the next update. Maybe this is even something where we can introduce a kind of like a little regular statistics section in the update. So just let us know what you want to have, what you want to see, and we're more than happy to give you the insights that you want. And with that, I would just hand over the ball to Alex.
All right, perfect. Kai, thank you very much. Yeah, with that, we have the last point already, which is team. And we don't need to make this any longer than it is. I think you've seen it already in the socials. We are looking to hire a head of marketing. The application is still live as we speak today. We have received, I think, over 200 applications so far. So we're screening through them. We're going to start the application process very soon. It's amazing to see. I have talked to a couple people already. There is very interesting prospects. So I'm really, really interested and keen to start working with this person. Yeah, not much more to say. If you have anyone that you think would be the perfect fit for a company that is serving the markets of Web3 and Web2, which is ONINO in this case, feel free to forward them to me for wherever you have my contacts, Telegram, LinkedIn, mail. I'm happy to go into discussions with each and everyone. And yeah, we're really looking forward to be onboarding this person soon. We're not going to rush this, so it's really a key position for us. We still are a small team, and every person brings in their individual grain of salt. So it needs to be the perfect fit. But I'm really, really looking forward to be working with our future head of marketing. And they will be taking over the Web3 part and maybe also potentially the Web2 part. Depends on their skill set. So this will be really interesting, going strong into the marketing aspect of ONINO. And with that, as always, it's question time now, so feel free to put your questions into the chat where you are listening at the moment, be it Twitter or X, Telegram or YouTube comments. We're gonna listen and answer to all of them, so feel free to put in your questions now. We'll also be answering questions along the month, so the whole time. Anytime when you have any question, feel free to just put them anywhere. We're trying our best to answer every question that we encounter. Once again, thank you very much for joining this month's community update, and see you again in the next community update.